what's your biggest piece of advice to students who will be preparing alongside class 12 and will be appearing for IPMAT 2027?
Firmly believe that we shouldn't put an extra year. A drop year means you're taking a lot of risk.
Advising to all those students who are contemplating whether to pick math or not.
Balancing board and IB maths was definitely difficult. There were times where I thought that preparing for the boards was harder than preparing for IP math.
Were there any questions that actually surprised you in the interview? Hi everyone, today we have yet another topper with us, Geet Lunkad. On his way to IIM Indore, secured All India Rank 4 in IPMAT Indore 2026. Congratulations, Geet. How are you feeling?
Thank you, ma'am. I feel extremely happy. I feel extremely grateful.
So before we, straight away come to your preparation, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I did my 11th and 12th at NM College in Mumbai. I began investing when I was 13. I'm extremely interested in finance, and I did a lot of ECAs related to finance during my 11th and 12th.
Okay. Now you started preparing, you mentioned, while you were in class 12. So why did you choose to, prepare alongside school instead of, taking a drop year?
Now, I firmly believe that we shouldn't put an extra year. A drop year means you're taking a lot of risk. Even if people are taking a drop, I suggest that they take a partial drop such that they have a backup. I believe the focus should be towards the MBA admissions if you're not able to secure a good college in your bachelor's.
Okay, and before again getting deep down into it, why IPMAT? This is something that I ask all the students.
I get access to the best peers from all across the country who are extremely interested in business and finance. I get access to the best faculty. I get infrastructural access, such as the sports facilities at IIM Indore. And I also get things such as the Reuters terminals for finance and a lot of things which I wouldn't get at a normal college.
Okay, and Geet, which stream did you had in your 11th and 12th?
Ma'am, I had commerce plus math.
So was it helpful in your IPMAT preparation, or you actually had to build some base for it?
Ma'am, having math does help in your IPMAT preparation. However, the math that they teach you in 11th and 12th is quite different from the math that you to learn to appear for the IPMAT exam. It does not help directly. However, you will see some implicit benefits, such as your calculation speed increasing or general familiarity with math. So I think having maths is an advantage.
So you are advising to all those students who are contemplating whether to pick math or not. Your answer would be?
I think that they should pick math. IPMAT, the bachelor's degree curriculum, is also extremely math heavy, statistics heavy, economics heavy, and you need to know math. So I suggest that students take math, at least applied math.
Now, Geet, you belong from Mumbai, right? So Maharashtra board has a demanding class 12 schedule. So how difficult for you was it to to balance your board and IPMAT preparation together?
Balancing board and IB maths was definitely difficult. There were times where I thought that preparing for the boards was harder than preparing for IPMAT. From December itself, I started focusing completely on boards. Boards mark help a lot. They help you in other college selections except Indore. Also, they create a good impression in front of your Indore interviewers. So I suggest that people should not skip boards. They should not focus completely towards IPMAT. They should also focus towards boards.
I think almost then for 2 to 3 months you were just preparing for boards, right? So that time when you were just preparing for boards and your IPMAT preparation took a back seat, how did you cope up with that 3 crucial months? Because just after boards there are IPMAT exams. So how did you deal with that?
I believe as soon as your boards are over, you need to focus completely on IPMAT. If your syllabus is complete, start revising, start solving as many sums as you can, because solving a lot of sums builds mental models, builds pattern recognition, which can help you in your exam.
Okay, and what was your daily routine like while you were preparing for your boards and while you were preparing for your IPMAT exam?
While I was preparing for my boards, generally I tried to devote the entire day towards boards. However, I had an innate interest in IPMAT, so I kept solving some sums sometimes, looking at forums, practicing some sectionals, but my focus was towards boards only. Coming to my IPMAT preparation, at that point of time, I focused the most on completing my syllabus. I tried to learn the topics to their full depth, and I tried to also balance mocks with syllabus completion.
So is it not like your board preparation and IPMAT preparation often overlaps now? You mentioned you had applied maths. So there must be some topics. So was it not in a way you were revising for IPMAT also while you were preparing for your board exams?
Ma'am, topics such as matrices, logarithms are repeated in IPMAT, and in a way, when you study math for boards, you are revising for IPMAT and vice versa. Maybe you should focus more on topics such as logarithms while you're preparing for your 12th, so that you also get IPMAT preparation.
Correct. It's like goes hand in hand and it's a win-win situation. You don't lose hold of anything, right? Because 3 months are again very crucial. Yes, boards are important, but so is IP math. So yes, it's a very smart strategy. You pick those topics that are common and simultaneously prepare for your IP math prep and boards together as well, right?
I think that even if you're in midst of your boards, maybe spend 2 hours a week at least to just glance over all the formulas, to glance over the concepts, so that you don't forget anything. Because learning after forgetting is as good as learning from scratch. So I believe that you should keep on revising. You should not break your paths of learning.
Now that we are talking about all this, which section actually challenged you the most throughout your IP math journey?
The most challenging section for me was the MCQ section. Theoretically, I should score more in the MCQ section since there are options and since there are a variety of questions. However, I scored less even compared to essay. My primary mistakes were bad question selection and bad accuracy to finish the most amount of questions possible. These are the primary reasons why I was weak there. I believe as you complete your syllabus and as you give more of your mocks, you'll improve in MCQ or any other section you're weak at.
So it's basically you have to first channelize your strengths and your weaknesses, and accordingly you make a strategy out of it and work on those, right? So like you mentioned, you face difficulties in QA MCQ, correct?
Yeah.
So what sort of strategy helped you crack down that?
I believe that anybody attempting the QA MCQ section should first begin with the DILR set. It can give you the most amount of marks for the least amount of effort, for the least amount of time. So look at it for 2 minutes, think about whether you can solve it. If you can, go ahead and solve it as soon as possible to secure 5 questions. Then I believe that you should not blindly attempt questions. You should look at questions sequentially and categorize them into buckets, such as to do right now, to do later, and the questions which are very hard, which you may not attempt.
Right. Can be marked for review for that matter.
Yeah, you can use the exam interface for that.
Correct. See, that is a very good point. Students often miss this, that these are the intricacies that you have to keep in mind. If there's a particular option that is given to you, it is for a reason. You don't use it. You just think that, okay, I will do it later, but the later never comes, right?
I believe students should also develop familiarity with the inbuilt calculator, because that can help you in solving the exams as well. If you
Yes.
don't know the answer, you can brute force it.
Yes. Even though you are provided a paper, pen, but it's always advisable to, have a handy hand on the on-screen calculator that is there in the major exams, right? This way you get a hack. So now this actually brings me to the next very important question, which is mocks. A very important part in any competitive exam, mocks. So what is your take on mocks?
Mocks are the single most important factor behind your success. First, they give you a mental blueprint of the exam, so you're never caught by surprise. You know what you want to do. If the questions are hard, if the questions are easy, you know what is the strategy that you will take. You get habituated to the exam pattern, which helps you a lot. It does not make you nervous at the time of the exam. It keeps you calm. You can note what mistakes you do, what question selection mistakes that you do, and you can avoid those mistakes. Completing the syllabus is also important. However, the strategy with which you attempt the exam is also important. If you attempt questions sequentially, if you attempt difficult questions first, it does not help you. You need to learn to prioritize easy questions. You need to learn to maximize your score. That is what mocks help you with.
So Geet, my next question to you is, what is that one non-negotiable when it comes to mocks?
I believe that you should spend a lot of time analyzing. If you just attempt mocks, do not look at your mistakes, do not look at the questions that you got wrong, you are not improving. You're just giving mocks for the sake of it. You need to utilize mocks such that they benefit you the most in your preparation. Analysis is where mocks become useful to you.
Correct. And was there any error log that you maintained throughout your preparation journey?
Yes, ma'am. I had 5 sections in QA. So I made a book for all of them. I recorded all of my errors. What did I do wrong? Did I go wrong with the formula? Did I go wrong with the calculations? Was my thought process wrong? I noted down all of it. Being familiar with your mistakes helps you not make those mistakes in the final exam. You already have a mental blueprint, you have pattern recognition. It just becomes easier to solve whatever questions they throw at you if you have a record of whatever you got wrong previously.
Now comes the very interesting question. How was your personal interview preparation?
Personal interview preparation, I emphasize on the quantity of the mock interviews that I took. I wanted to be familiar with all the questions, whether that be academics, current affairs, HR questions, or domain related questions. I wanted to be great at all of them so that no matter what the interviewer asks, I have chances of being selected. In my actual interview, they were really intrigued by my introduction, and my introduction was geared towards finance. As far as I remember, I was able to answer every question.
Oh, that's great. And were there any questions that actually surprised you in the interview? Although you look all prepared.
There was not a question which I did not know an answer to, but I was surprised that the interviewers talked at length about niche finance topics such as the efficient market hypothesis and various investing theses. That is not what I expected, and that really worked out in my favor.
Okay, because you just mentioned you are a finance guy. So, this is again very important lesson that if you're writing anything, ensure you are through in and out, you know everything about it. Like just how Geet mentioned, a very intricate question was asked from the finance field. Finance in itself is a very humongous domain. Anything can be asked. So it seems you are all prepared, and it was all righteous of you to mention it in your introduction, and it actually really worked out in your favor because now you're going into IIM Indore.
I also recommend students to do extracurriculars with barriers to entry, which not only help them in the examination interview process, but also help them improve themselves. Having barriers to entry to any of your extracurriculars instantly makes that extracurricular more valuable in the eyes of the interviewer. If you're able to talk about what you did apart from your studies, it really works out in your favor. Otherwise, always they can ask you academics. However, if you have something which you know a lot about, then you can make the interview go in your direction, which can really help you.
Correct. In fact, IIM Indore is known for its holistic curriculum. They will, of course, be asking you questions apart from your academics. There's a reason why they don't give weightage to academic score as well, right? And they focus very much on ECAs. So I have seen the students who are being selected, majority of them have a, they have worked tremendously upon their ECAs. You are one of them. So what's your biggest piece of advice for students who will be preparing alongside class 12th and will be appearing for IPMAT 2027?
I'd say that be consistent with your IPMAT preparation. Also, revision is the most important thing. Don't just complete the syllabus, revise everything that you have learned in a timely manner. That being said, the earlier you finish your syllabus, the better. For younger students who may be in 10th, 11th, etc., I believe you should start preparing as soon as possible because that only works out in your favor. It's not preparation gone to waste. It just increases the likelihood of being selected.
Correct. All right, Geet. So what's the first thing that you'll be doing when you'll go to IIM Indore?
I want to meet all of the impressive people who have gotten with me to IIM Indore. I want to talk to them. I want to, because you rarely get this cohort in normal schools, in normal colleges. I'll be with the brightest minds of the country, and that's what I really want to explore in my initial days.
Amazing. Couldn't be more happier to see you over there. All the very best, Geet, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, man.